Hey there, you're listening to the GROUPEX podcast with Tony Zanato. Today I'm talking with Josh McCall, Centre Manager of ACTIVE8 Fitness, Health and Leisure in Richmond. We chat about how John got into fitness, his crew, his members and the foundations of GROUPEX. Mate, thank you for joining me on this as well. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you. Really enjoyed it. I only listened to the first episode so far, but it's been good, mate, to hear someone else's insights.
Tell me a bit. I've obviously met you when I was at Les Mills stuff. How did you get into the fitness industry? Where did your journey begin?
I probably as early, I reckon, as about year 9, to be honest. At school, I did kind of like a sports science subject, and then I wanted to be a lawyer, so I did physics in year 11 and 12, and then I didn't really want to do that anymore, so I dropped it, picked up PDHPA, went pretty well in it, and pretty much from there I was into my basketball and into sport and got into uni. I was training in the gym when I was about 16, and that was just lifting weights and not really doing classes. And then, I think I was 17 and went to uni and did almost do a sports degree, and it kind of went from there. And so I taught my first Group X class. It was a circuit class. I think it must have been about 1997.
Okay, wow. Where was that at? Yeah. Was that out at Richmond?
That was at a place, at Richmond, a place called Come Alive Fitness.
Okay.
And the song was to Ricky Martin's song. I remember doing a lunch track I made up to it.
Awesome. So Come Alive, there's still a Come Alive out in Cootamundra. Do you know if that's still part of that? No? So Mark Elia from Come Alive in Cootamundra. I think he is probably the only Come Alive that's left out there, because there were, from memory, and when I met with Mark, I remember him saying that there were at one stage there were quite a few that were around. But yeah, I think he's is the last one. But wow, okay.
No, it was mainly squash courts back then as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow. And so how did you get into where you are now at ACTIVE8?
So I went away and worked at the University of Western Sydney.
Yep.
And got a bit of a pretty rare job that's not around these days. I had a full-time gym floor position.
Yep.
I went for the managerial job and kind of recognised it was way out of my scope, and went for that job and worked with some really good guys who are still my best mates now. I really loved working with them. And I think Craig, my manager at the time, threw me a bone and said, go and do your body combat training. So I did Combat 4 training.
Oh, wow. Way back when.
Yeah. Way back when. So I did Combat 4, and then from there consequently picked up, I think RPM was the next thing I picked up, and just kind of got a roll on from there.
Okay, cool. And when did you start at ACTIVE8?
2005. So we were a community-based club within a registered club.
Yes.
So within the Richmond club. So they had a vision to open a premier kind of fitness centre. We did that in 2005, put the team together and opened May 2005, and had a very strong group fitness kind of perspective.
Yeah.
Now, and that kind of came about because we had a small gym floor space.
Yes. And
we thought that everyone loves a full class. No one hates a full gym. So that was the perspective straight away.
Okay, cool. And how long? So you said, well, just before that it's been purchased by somebody else. Is somebody else running it?
Yeah. So we had a change of private ownership last year, in December last year.
Yep.
So we've got a family that runs a couple of things that align with us. So we've got a karate dojo as well. So we're looking at some hybrid kind of martial arts fitness based classes as well.
Yeah.
So we can do some good stuff in the space of some bag work and kind of HIIT classes as well. So it's looking good. Okay.
What would you say your membership base there at the moment? And I'm not talking about how many people you've got and that kind of stuff. Who are your clients? Who would be your average member that you're getting into your club?
Predominantly, we're female, so 74% female.
Yep.
And we have a lot of older adults as well. So it's kind of split down the line there. So we still run a lot of seniors-based classes where the average age would be close to probably 70, 74.
Wow, yep.
Which is awesome. They love their social aspect. And then the rest of them would be people that had maybe indulged in fitness at a younger age, and then life catches up, and then all of a sudden they find they've got a couple of kids, and those kids have grown up now and they're getting back to trying to spend some time with themselves. So it's generally people that I would say maybe feel intimidated by the idea of fitness.
Okay. Yep.
So that might not necessarily be what fitness actually is, but their idea of fitness and going to a gym is pretty intimidating. And they end up in our sphere because they feel comfortable.
Yeah. Okay. And I suppose that I'll ask quickly on competition in the area, because I remember back in the days of Les Mills when I first met you, I'm pretty sure that it was Anytime Fitness that had just popped up close by or nearby at that stage. And that was not so much posing a threat, but it was a challenge to look at, in the fact of, for the first time in a long time, there'd been some form of competition in the area. Now, I'm assuming Anytime is still around.
Yeah, Anytime. When we first started, there was probably 3 dominant players. There was us, the university-based gym, and then what has become the YMCA over at South Windsor. We kind of all happily shared the pie, I suppose, between us. And then with the advent of 24-hour clubs and boutique brands and smaller kind of setups, competition became really fierce really quickly. And we lost the part of our demographic, which was probably 18 to 40-year-old men.
Okay.
They kind of walked at that point in time. And it was because we sometimes kind of rode those guys a little bit. If they were in the gym floor and in that space, we were, it's a small space. So don't be antisocial, stop swearing, share equipment. Are you really using that? Get off your phone. So we kind of rode them a little bit hard for the better of our community. And when another opportunity opened, they walked out the door.
They took it. Yeah. Okay.
But so that's left us with a really strong group focus still.
Yeah. Yep. And group fitness has always been a strong presence within the club since day one, since it opened.
Yeah, absolutely. We started off with pretty much the full Les Mills suite. And at that time, the other string to our bow was probably Heart Moves.
Yes.
The Heart Foundation program that started off. And that's kind of where our seniors population came from. And it was your typical kind of, at that moment, I think it was pump, step. We didn't quite have spin at that point, I don't think. Pump, step, attack, combat was always really strong for us, and balance, I think, just built from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what would you say the strongest program would be currently for you at the moment?
It's a really good question. Core, so Les Mills Core. So we still run the Les Mills suite pretty much. So Core, it's so hard to go past pump. It just has such a wide
staple.
Penetration.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're looking at Core. Let's take Core as an example. Is that attracting new members, as in younger demographic for you, or is that just catering for the demographic you have? I suppose the question I'm trying to ask is with attracting new members, as we all want to try and achieve in club, are those programs helping you to attract those newer members, or not really?
I think it's a bit more of a sell for us to some of the younger demographic. I think that those people that may have participated earlier are coming back to things that are familiar to them. I think Core for us, we very much package it as the program you do to make you better at other programs.
Brilliant.
So that works really well for us. We try to set it and offset it so it's a half-hour program that you can do after something else. So there's a bit of a sense of value or perceived bang for buck in terms of my time I'm spent here. Getting an hour and a half in. So that's worked well for us.
Okay, cool. The I suppose if I look at from my days back when I was at Les Mills, and we, taking into consideration all of the programs, the programs that you're currently running at the moment, are they still hitting the mark for you and your demographic in club? Or are there some that you'd look at and go, you know what, maybe we need to tweak these. Maybe we need to look at something additional or something new in order to help the members achieve what they're wanting to achieve, as well as potentially grab that new person that may be walking past that wants to understand what we do in here?
I think it's important that the definition of achieve for us is something a little bit different. We just ran a challenge with 80 people involved, and there was all sorts of stuff I had to do that was gym place, class base. We have 80 fully engaged members now who felt like they've done something different on the scales. And if you put them on a VO2 max, it might not show you much of a difference.
Yep.
But those people have achieved so much in terms of the community that they've helped build and that they're part of now. So like those people are now off the back of that challenge, which finished just effectively before COVID hit now, this second lockdown. They're doing all the work. They're out contacting each other and going for walks and working out outside. And
brilliant.
That's the beauty of it. I think if we looked at it for us to attract, definitely, excuse me, the ability to do something kind of hit-based within the space that fits a circuit-based class or an F45 style program.
Yes.
That's definitely attractive to us. We did run grit for a while there as that, but when I think it just came down to cost benefit. We're looking at how many programs we were running at that point, and we kind of cut it as part of a cull a lot earlier on. But I think definitely within that space and looking at some hybrid based classes for us with some boxing. The challenge for us as always now is you feel there's a big box gym, which was how we define ourselves, I suppose. There's that irony that there's the need for you to be perceived to be cheaper than the boutique based gyms, but you somehow offer more. But the perceived value is a whole lot less. And that can be frustrating sometimes.
Completely. It's almost now that the full box gym needs to be everything that it was before, plus everything that the boutiques are offering. So in other words, you almost need to have set up your normal gym environment, which is what you have, but you need to almost have your hit space over there. You need to have your boxing space over there. And if I use terminologies like an Orange Theory within your club, a 45 within your club, a Soul Cycle within your club, in order to compete with those other boutiques, but also to attract your member. But that member that's coming through you also wants it at the same price. They don't want to be paying an additional fee for everything that you're offering. And that is a big challenge.
And you get to that point and you're looking at 1,000 square meter club then.
Yes.
And plus. It's a massive setup. It's a big cost to do so. And it can be frustrating sometimes. I get like sometimes we wouldn't be able to quite hit the level demanded sometimes by those people going to a boutique. So if you go into a boutique yoga studio, for instance, I haven't got a heated room for you. I can put the reverse cycle aircon on for you, but I haven't got a heated room, and it's not set up in the quite kind of way. And I get that. But it's funny. It's like there's a price sensitivity, but there's not. No, people are willing to pay that $50, $60 plus a week. Versus a big box, which might be closer to 20, 25 a week.
No, I think you nailed it with that. I think there are, and it's hard with your demographic as well. Looking at the demographic you have with the older population that are coming in, a lot of them, while they want that sense of community, also don't really want the younger demographic in their face.
We've done a good job of. I would say that hasn't been our issue. I think more so with definitely our gym floor space, it was this idea that if you put 3 guys who might be as sweet as pie but look like they've got 3 heads because their shoulders are so big, that they're going to be intimidating in that space regardless of how nice they are. And that was having a benefit. That's why people probably retreated to the classes, because they felt it was a safer space. Which was cool. So what's happened now is that the gym floor is predominantly a bunch of women that are training in there, which is awesome. Our classes are again predominantly women. We do have some guys in there, but it's an interesting space to be in. Particularly with that. So I don't think the oldies are too much of a challenge for us at the end of the day.
So the new owners that have come on board, what are their vision? What are they looking to achieve with the club? Are they bringing in new concept, new ideas for you guys in order to help you grow? What's their what are they looking to try and do in that space?
They've been super supportive of us. They've let us run with a pretty chockers timetable, offering quite a lot. They've let us run with our in-house promotions, and which is essentially what our challenges are.
Yep.
But the vision for them would be to look at a second site that we have on board.
Yep.
And within that second site, we're able to hit that other market. So we're able to run probably a little bit at the sharper point of the field in terms of fitness and perceive expertise, I suppose. So people are able to work harder in this other space. We're able to run some bag work classes. We're able to run some martial arts based stuff. We're able to run some HIIT stuff. We've got a 25 meter three lane sled track. So we're able to run in that kind of F45 space, like you talked about before. That circuit HIIT boutique place a little bit more. So that's the vision at the moment. We take care of our members currently within our current facility. Within our secondary facility, which is within a kilometre of us, we're able to run the other. We're able to run both memberships as separate packages or combine them for a modest increase.
Okay, sorry. So I didn't understand. When you said there's a second space, I didn't realise it was a second venue, as in
second venue,
Okay, sorry. I misunderstood that. I thought you meant as in it was just a secondary space within the club that you had.
No, sorry, second venue,
Okay, but still classed as ACTIVE8, still is the same brand, everything.
The branding would be something along the lines of ACTIVE8 Pro or something like that. So it's a bit more of a target market is going to be that 20 to 40-year-old, want to work really hard, want to have the spew bucket in the corner type thing.
And is it's in evolution at the moment?
It's pretty close to done, actually. It's just trying to figure out the timetabling of that at the moment. We've got some class formats that we're pretty set on and want to do. Some education for the staff, but at the initial stages, it's going to be tough because we're trying to spread the staff across the two venues a little bit. Which kind of takes us a little bit thin, but at the same time, it's the necessity. Like the people feel familiar. We've got staff that have been with us since day one. We've got, I think, 8 staff that have been with us for 16 years.
Wow.
So there's a high level of trust within that community. And if those people come along, people are going to follow.
Yeah. That's really
and they're going to tell their friends.
It's massively uncommon to have staff that hang around for that long. That's testament to you and Jenny as well for being there as long as you guys have and creating that environment that the crew or the staff there want to be there, want to be part of it.
And we've thank you, and we've converted a lot of our staff from within house. Like we've had members that have been with us from day one who have had their own journey and go down that pathway who are now some of our absolute best instructors. Absolutely amazing, and people see that evolution and that inspires them. I've always said that we're a bunch of flawed dickheads up front teaching the class half the time, but it's kind of real. It's relatable. And that's been really good for us. And you mentioned Jenny there. Jenny's the absolute linchpin, Tony. Like I wanted her to come on today and speak, but she's not up for that. But she's absolutely the heartbeat of the whole thing. She's the crazy, zany one that gets everyone doing stuff that they don't want to do, who then do it and they go, "Oh my God, I love this."
If you could pinpoint,
good team.
If you could pinpoint what it is that creates that sense of community within your club, what would you say it is? And I know that's a hard question. It's a hard question to answer because it's a hard one to ask as well, because it's almost asking that, what do you do to make you guys so unique? But it is. What is it that makes ACTIVE8 and those I suppose the staff being there for so many years, but also your members? What is it that you think you do differently over other clubs out there?
I think every fitness centre claims to have such a unique environment, that their community is so strong. I think that's just inherent with the positivity that fitness has. And you spend a week behind that desk, you are getting to know people. You spend 15 years behind that desk. It just goes to a different level. Like I recognize people by the shoes they're coming in. Their kids used to be in my creche, and now they're coming to our classes. So there's this sense of continuity. I think to put the pin on it is that that one word, actually, Jen, to a massive degree, is that person, because she brings such connectivity to everyone. She brings a sense of energy that gets people outside of their lane a little bit. She challenges as to what their sense of normal would be. She's zany and crazy and off her head, and people love that.
Have you been given permission to say that?
I don't care. She's like my work wife.
Love it.
We've been 16 years together, and that's been a good blend, because Jenny has that appeal to those people, and then I'm probably a couple of levels down from that level of energy. But my skill set's really different to hers. I'm able to reach people on a different level, when she doesn't want anything to do with the gym floor. She wants all about GROUPEX. You know, she's a massive part about the GROUPEX. The gym floor, she just wrote this last challenge for us to get people involved. So that kind of fosters a sense of leadership that's you're not going to read in a book. It's just she's something a people person. And that's been really powerful, and that then flows onto other staff who either mimic that or put their own flavor on that. You know, at the start it might start out of mimicry. You have someone go into that class who's done her combat class for 10 years on a Saturday morning, and all of a sudden they want to be a body combat instructor. They'll come out trying to mimic her and then find their own flavor. And have Jenny foster that in them, take them along for that ride, which is really powerful.
Totally. You just mentioned then that she looks after GROUPEX and you look after gym floor. Is that sort of the roles that you both have taken on, or was that really what, I suppose, did you come on board to look after the gym side of things, and Group Fitness evolved from there, or how does that, how's that dynamic?
I was the first person hired. In January 2005. She was the second person hired. She was working at that time for a travel agency. They gave me a diary, and on my Thursday there was a booking with Jenny from, I think it was Travel Land or Travel World, and I'm thinking, how good's this gig? They sent me somewhere already.
Awesome.
I was pretty stoked. And then Jenny came in business wear and sat down for an interview, and at that point in time I think she was just a casual instructor. Who was just teaching casually, and from there we kind of formulated it, and I think really early on we recognized our strengths and weaknesses. Like I'm pretty data driven. I'm looking at numbers and income, and that extends even to the science of exercise. I'm sports science trained, and I kind of think in those rhythms. Jenny's completely the opposite, and that's how it relates. She's the one creating the energy, creating the surge. I love teaching a class with Jen, because the dynamic is just, it's a bit of a crackle, because I'm playing the straight man, she's the funny girl. It's hilarious. It's Abbott and Costello a little bit.
That'd be fun. One day if I get back up there, I'll come for a visit and stick my face in.
I'd love that.
Do a class. I never got around to it. I never got around to doing a class at your gym in the 5 years that I was with Les Mills. I managed to do a lot, but I think a lot of the classes I got into were in more regional areas. So like, when I went out to Tamworth and when I went out to Orange and Dubbo, that kind of stuff.
Stay the night, do a class that night.
Just, it's like, right, we've had our meeting at 4:00. Oh, you've got a class at 4:30 or 5. I'll quickly race back to the hotel, get changed, and come back and do a class.
Well, I don't know if you're sure of the role that you've played in that, but definitely for us living, like, we're in Richmond, we're kind of like the last little country town left in Sydney. We're literally the end of the rail line. There's a grandstand and a cricket oval in the middle of the park. There's a main street. It's kind of got that little bit of a vibe to it. So even though I'm almost 25 maybe years in this industry, 22 years in this industry, whatever it is, I actually don't know that many people outside of my own bubble. So when it was yourself, and then later on we had Miriam come in from Les Mills, and that became our contact point to the outside world. So, we would bounce our ideas off you and be kind of scratching our head. And then whether you guys, I'm always thinking it was genuinely saying, no, you're doing a great job in this area. It was kind of a reinforcement of, we actually are on the right page here. And it might have been statistically, like, when you say about those staff, or how's our class numbers looking there, or like the other little fact that we have is I think our average length of membership on direct debit is like 3 years and 10 months.
That's awesome. That is seriously awesome.
And that was kind of like the thing. And then we looked at our Group X, and our Group X was running at above 65% of daily attendance.
Mate, that's so, I'm going to say not unheard of, but almost unheard of in when you step back closer to the city. Yes, they've got great Group X attendance, but when you think of how many people are really coming into those facilities, if you're getting that many people coming in to your facility per day and you're getting most of them into Group X, you're on ball. You're on the ball straight away.
And that's what we've always kind of felt in our heart, but like you're kind of measuring that in a bubble. Yep. There's no real idea of that. You kind of hear that, or we bounce that idea and we go, well, I think there was at some point, we heard that there was world class was considered above 60%.
Yep.
And we're like, oh, wow, that's kind of like our norm.
Yep.
That blew us away, and it just became our everyday, to be honest. So, there's arguments and caveats to that. If you're running 50 classes a week, well, you're going to have a lot of people coming through, and I can recognize that. But at the end of the day, those people are hanging around, and they're hanging around on the books for a long period of time, and
you've got them engaged. And that's the thing is, members that hang around the longest are happy members. They're staying for a reason because what you've got on offer is what they're looking for. The members that leave, and they'll use every excuse under the sun of why they've left, and they'll wait for something to go wrong. Go, I'm out there, bro. You haven't satisfied me in that regard. They've been looking for a reason to exit anyway. But those that hang around, it's because you are providing them exactly what they're looking for, exactly what they're after. And if you've been doing that for so many years, don't change what you're doing. Don't change it.
And that's,
I suppose if you're looking to try and attract newer members, then you'll need to twist what you're doing, and I hate the word pivot, but I'm going to use it. Pivot what you're doing a little bit to try and attract that different demographic. But don't ever lose focus on what you're doing to retain the current members you have, because you're doing a really good job if they're hanging around for 3 years and 10 months.
Yeah, and they're open-ended contracts. Those guys, they're not indentured. We're not saying you have to serve your minimum period. It's just that's what they do.
Yeah.
Which is gratifying to hear. And I have a couple of mates that, like I said, are still working from the old uni days, so I bounce those ideas off, and they tell me the same thing. But it's gratifying to hear those stories sometimes, and that's probably why I picked up listening to the podcast to begin with.
Yep.
Because the only time that we really get that is you go to Philex or you go to a conference and you get that idea. And but sometimes I get a little bit disenfranchised when I go to those conferences as well, because I felt like there was not a lot of people doing what we did.
Yep.
I kind of walked around, and the guys and girls in their skimpies selling protein and trying to tell me what they're doing and how good that's going to be. It's I get a bad taste in my mouth sometimes.
The industry needs a shake-up. Yeah, and part of the reason for me was jumping on and doing this. I've been wanting to do this probably for the last 3 or 4 years, but the timing just wasn't right for whatever was going on at home or at work or whatever. And it now just seems the right time for me to go, right, you know what? I've had years of making a lot of contacts prior to working for Les Mills, but mainly working when I was at Les Mills. So the 5 years I managed to meet a ton of people that have stories that aren't being told and aren't being shared. And something that you might be doing with what we've just spoken about may resonate with someone that is who knows where in the world or who knows where in Australia. But my thing was that I wanted to get the Aussie story of the Aussie gym out there to people, to share the ideas and get people interacting with each other, because it doesn't happen. There's so many clubs that I remember further north coast. I won't mention the town as such, but the 3 gyms in one town that an instructor was not allowed to work at one of the other clubs. If you work here, you only work here. You can't work anywhere else. That to me, one, I think it was unfair on the instructors, telling an instructor that they can't generate more income by working elsewhere. But it showed very much an insecurity from those clubs of not wanting to, no, well, if you're going to work here, you can't work there because I don't want you stealing members from here and taking them over there. That type of mentality, I think, is what the industry needs to let go of. And it's still out there and rife in some areas. But I think it's letting go of that and moving on and sort of going, well, this is what we do here, and that's with me chatting to you, is getting an understanding on what you're doing in your club, to share that with other people, to go, hey, not so much your competition, because the other guys in your area should already and would already know what you're offering. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But it's more so, exactly. It's more so, as an example, someone in South Australia that could be listening to this is going, oh, wow, okay, yeah, this is what they're doing. I pick up on that. And we're struggling with that. I want to be able to implement that and do something we're doing internally here. And I think that's, as I said, the industry needed someone to share that story, which is why I'm grateful that I decided to jump on to do this, but also to find out from clubs as well. Not only is the podcast what I'm doing, but with the consulting stuff and also the software that's in development as well at the moment, is to try and get that out to help clubs be better at what they're doing. I think if you're not learning every day, there's something there that is wrong. I learn stuff every day. Whether it's the way I'm talking to people or whatever it may be. But I think in the club environment, in that space, there's always things that you can do better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everyone sort of says, you know what, yeah, and you touched on it before. Yep, we've got our USPs, our unique, things that we do in here. Yeah, we've built that sense of community. We've done this, we've done that. Yeah, it's all good, and everyone says it. But how do you really do it? How do you really make sure that is your unique selling point over the guys down the road? We can all say, yeah, we've got an onboarding system. Yeah, great. We do this, we do that. But do we? We have it. Yeah. Is it really implemented? Now, to me, you guys have something unique. You've got members that are staying for that period of time. So you are doing something that's attracting that member and wanting them to actually stay with you long term.
People aren't coming to the gym for the instructor. Yep. They're not turning up at 6 a.m. or 7:30 p.m. on a Friday for that instructor. A lot of the time, they're turning up for their mate. They're turning up for the person they met in that class. And we did a fantastic job of fostering that. And the last challenge was all about that. The other thing we've done is a heap of parties. Yep. So we actually do some pretty massive parties. We created this thing, I think 2 or 3 years in, called the Golden Barbell Awards.
Yeah.
And at first it felt kind of a niche where it was, dinner frocks and everyone dressed to the T's and getting their hair done and having a good time.
Yeah.
And that degenerated pretty quickly into a fancy dress kind of nights. And then that generated into the ACTIVE8 staff dances. And then that generated into us rehearsing a gig for 3.5 months in our own time, buying our own costumes and putting on, 4 or 5 or 6 little dance numbers.
Awesome.
Because the members want to see us making absolute gooses of ourselves.
Yeah, yeah.
And that fostered a lot of culture as well, because we get up and we give out some awards, we give out some serious ones, we give out some funny ones, we make a goose of ourselves and dance around on stage, and then the dance floor's open and everyone's having a good time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of shared experience in that as well. And I don't think that paid any small part. We'd have sometimes 200 people turn up to a gig for that.
Wow.
Paying $70-$80 a head to get a club carvery meal and watch me dressed up as Britney Spears. I don't know. It was ridiculous. Where have you taken some of your inspiration from? Like you said, you've been listening to podcasts. I'm a massive podcast listener. I actually think it's a massive step for me in terms of lifelong listening and just learning about other people's inputs, experiences, and thoughts. Yep. What's kind of floated your boat?
I jumped into Spotify and typed in GROUPEX or GROUPEX and Group Fitness and just went, right, let's have a listen. But a lot of the stuff that I was listening to that was group fitness related just ended up going straight into the business side of things and PT. And while, yes, there's small group training, none of it really related to GROUPEX as we know GROUPEX. So I was looking at those and sort of going, okay, yeah, there's bits and pieces I can take from this, but nothing that really gelled with me that sort of went, yeah, okay, I can look at that and I go, right, that was about attendance or that was about the studio design or that was about, how setting up a blueprint for your business and running it, getting everything in together and doing that kind of stuff. There's no, and I still believe today, there is nothing out there that is designed for group fitness managers. Where's the Group Fitness Managers course?
Doing anything on?
There's a Group Fitness. There's a Group Fitness Management seminar.
Yeah.
Which is sitting down and having a chat and going, yeah, okay, this is what we do. But where's the course? Where's the accredited course? Where's the actual course that you go and do and you walk away from and go, yeah, cool, I've actually learnt this skill set. And then that's not just around attendance and looking at your timetable and doing all that kind of stuff, but the bigger picture on making sure that that group fitness manager that you're putting in place to your gym, or if that is you in the gym, has the skill set to deal with conflict, deal with different people, deal with everyone from the member that's cranky to the member that hasn't shown up in 12 weeks. You know, having those skill sets and knowing what to look for, as well as dealing with instructors. And we know that every instructor's got a different personality, and managing that. There's skill sets which I think you can be taught in a way to understand the foundations of them, but there's not enough out there that is really, there's nothing there now. Yeah. Whether it needs CCs or not, I don't know. Yeah.
I think I've done the GFM course through Les Mills maybe 3 times. Yep. So kind of, I think that's,
and don't get me wrong,
it's a good foundation.
It's fantastic. It is fantastic. There's a lot of good stuff that's in that content. Yeah. And that's a lot of the skill set that I've got that I was out there helping people with. And that's the basis really that is there. But take it to the next level. Yeah. Where is the next level? There isn't a next level.
And it's really hard because, you know, you can think about every decision that you make, whether it be timetabling, instructor, whatever it might be in terms of that gym floor, so that group fitness floor, sorry. And I know that in my heart, I can think of who that's going to affect directly and what the outcome of that's going to be. And is that outcome going to be worth it? Or how do we work in that time slot? I think you're right, though. There's nothing there that is going to give you a qualification or give you something to reflect upon.
Yeah, there's the basics there.
Because there is so much second guessing in it as well.
Yes, yeah.
Just trying to get the flavour, the nuance of it.
Yeah. How would it be if you had a group fitness manager's course that someone could go away and do and then be accredited to say, yep, okay, I have that skill. We do it for group exercise classes. You go off and you teach your program, whatever you're doing. You go away for the weekend and you then come back and you present and you do that kind of stuff. Why isn't there some course out there in the industry at the moment?
I agree. Yeah, there's an RTO opportunity there for someone.
I've actually been working on the Foundations of GROUPEX for quite some time. That I'm looking to put out there soon and go, yep, cool. I'm going to throw this out there. It's going to be an online stuff where we can go, yep. Here's the 6 pillars that we're working on. Here are the foundations. Going to give you the skill set to be able to walk into a gym, say that you are qualified, and know what you're doing. And not just be a glorified group fitness instructor who knows how to timetable, find covers, and write down numbers at the end of the week. Because realistic, that's really what a group fitness manager currently looks like in most centres.
Yeah,
and you're the person that we go to find. Yeah, you're the person we'll go to find a cover. You're the person
it's about building culture.
Yeah, there's you've got to have those skill sets, as I said, to deal with individuals, deal with members, deal with management. Understand how to implement targets from a club's perspective, but also a group fitness perspective. Understand, you guys have got it, and you've nailed it when you said your percentage of group fitness compared to what you're getting coming in the club every day. There's still clubs, and there's clubs down here in Wollongong that don't even know what total membership swipes they're getting per week. Yeah, group fitness is at this. Cool, group fitness is at that, but what is it compared to what your members are? How many members are coming into the club? How do you really know how effective group fitness is if you're not measuring it properly? It's got to be done, and I think that's part of me with this is getting that message out to clubs, getting them to understand there are clubs that are doing it well.
Yep.
There are clubs that need some advice and need some push with that as well.
Well, it sounds like it's an interesting pathway for you. Like there's a lot of opportunity out there. You've definitely got the skill set to do that.
Thank you. Mate, hey, listen, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming on the show and your insights and your journey as well. Thank you for sharing them.
Thanks for giving back, Tony. Appreciate it.
Oh, good. Well, that's it for this chat. I hope you got something out of it and liked what you heard. If you'd like to get in touch, head on over to the website, groupex.com.au, or throw us a like on Facebook at GroupEx. May we meet again.